give us some background information about yourself and your areas of scientific expertise?
My name's Denise Reed. I'm the Chief Scientist at the Water Institute of the Gulf. The Water Institute is an independent, non-profit research organisation in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in the United States. I'm a coastal geomorphologist. I work on wetlands, and for probably the last 20 years I've worked on how to get science into policy decisions. Obviously in South Louisiana we are subject to hurricanes. Hurricanes, storm surge, flooding is a very common event there, and so the topics that RISC-KIT is addressing are very important to us too.
In your opinion, what is the importance of increased coastal resilience globally?
Well, sea level is rising, undoubtedly, and many, many more people are starting to live at the coast. And so coasts have always been very dynamic systems. As geomorphologists, we understand that they constantly change. When people go to live at the coast, though, sometimes they forget that coasts are dynamic systems. And so understanding how coasts work, understanding how they change, understanding what that means for the people that now live and work there is very important around the world. There are very, very important economic centres in coastal systems, very, very important population centres, and also very, very important ecosystems in coastal areas. And so when you think about people, economy, and ecosystem, how all these things come together and how that changes in the future is going to be really, really important across the world.
Could you please refer to the reasons that drew you to participate in RISC-KIT as a member of the International External Board?
We work in the United States, and so we have a lot of problems in the United States from coastal risk. We have tsunamis on the west coast, we have storms, we have floods, all those kinds of things. But it's important for us to remember in the United States that there are lessons to be learned from other systems and things that we can bring to other people as well. And so I think one of the great attractive things about the RISC-KIT project is it's looking across Europe at so many different types of coastal system. And so what that means is that we can bring lessons from the US to over here, and we can take lessons home back to the US. It doesn't matter that they don't have hurricanes here, they still have coastal storms, they still have big waves, they still have beaches that erode. We want to understand what we can learn from the RISC-KIT project and what we can help the RISC-KIT project with.
Can you name 3 factors that, in your view, distinguish RISC-KIT's approach in tackling issues regarding coastal resilience?
I think one of the most important things that RISC-KIT is doing is they're taking an integrated approach right from the very beginning. They're trying to think about people and society very early in the process instead of bringing them in the end. So that's one thing that's really very different. The other thing that I think is very different is that they're making sure that we use simple tools where we need simple tools. It's very common in coastal risk assessment to go with the most complex tool that you have right from the very beginning. And often we need very simple screening tools to work out where we need to do more detailed analysis. And that's something that RISC-KIT is really bringing to the table. The other thing that is really great about RISC-KIT is that they're really focused on tools. They're focused on things that people can actually use. And so this is a great example of research really trying to help out with a very, very important societal problem.
In what ways do you believe that RISC-KIT will contribute to Europe's and the world's ability to deal with coastal risks?
Coastal risk is clearly not going away. It's going to be with us for the long term. And so the more kinds of different tools that we have, I think that's going to be very, very important. One of the things that RISC-KIT is doing is looking at flooding, flash flooding, and how that affects coastal system, as well as hazards that come from the ocean. And I think that combined approach is something that will be of value to many, many other places around the world where we look out to the ocean, we think about sea level rise, but we have to think about what's happening in coastal watersheds as well. And I think the way in which RISC-KIT has been stimulated by these extreme events, some of which are rainfall and precipitation events as much as they are storm surge events, then I think that's something that is going to provide lessons to many areas about how to think about combined hazards as they hit the coast.
Do you think that the output of the RISC-KIT project will be directly applicable in your country and or in your work that you will be doing in the future?
Well, I think there are a lot of parallels between the things that are going on in RISC-KIT and the kind of problems that we face in the US, and in fact the kinds of problems that I try to help people with on a day-to-day basis. The way in which we use simple plus more detailed tools is very important. The way in which we think about probabilistic approaches and how we communicate that to people, about how we integrate what we know about people and society and businesses and transportation networks. It's just really great to hear RISC-KIT talking about transportation networks as a key part of coastal infrastructure. So often we think about buildings and ports and things like that, but highways and electric transmission lines are equally as important. They're the lifelines that keep society and business going. So I do think that just the structure of how they're thinking about their problems, the kinds of different data sets that they're bringing together, these are very much lessons that I can take home.
In your opinion, what is the relative importance of science and society or interaction between the two for global coastal resilience?
Well, clearly, global resilience is not just about science. We can know an awful lot about coastal systems, but unless anybody really uses that information to change the way they do things, then it really isn't going to matter in the long run. Coastal resilience is something that is really about people and society as much as it is about science. It's about how people make decisions, how policymakers act, how people vote, and what they decide that they want their countries to do. And so I do think that science has to be there. Science has to provide that framework. We have to make information available. We have to make information available in ways that people can use. That's something that RISC-KIT is very focused on. But this nexus between what science provides and the information that society uses is really crucial. It's up to us as scientists to be there and to help out. And I think this is a great example.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.